Hey guys, and welcome to the top 10 most useful skills to train in Runescape 3. When you're ready, grab your cup of tea, sit back, relax and enjoy. Kicking off at number 10 we have Divination. Despite this being one of the slower and more hated skills to train in game, this skill is pretty damn useful. One of the main things about Divination is that it lets you make daily divine locations, probably being one of the most unique and useful things about this skill. Daily divine locations can get you easy experience in some slower skills like woodcutting, fishing, or hunter at the lower levels. Hunter is fast at the higher levels. This skill also provides divine charges if you're an Iron Man and you cannot buy them off the Grand Exchange because you do play Iron Man. You can make Sign of the Porters, Portents of Restoration, all kinds of useful stuff. And on top of that, you can also make money with this skill and obtain chimes through the Arc. In fact, obtaining chimes through the Arc is a very AFK way of training Divination. So that's why Divination is on the number 10 spot. At number 9 we have Dungeoneering, and not per se for the skill itself. It's more so for the rewards that it gives. Now, going back to the training part before I get into the rewards, this is a viable way of training multiple skills at once if you're an Iron Man or a player with very little money. Getting to the rewards, you can actually obtain Dungeoneering tokens from just doing sinkholes and elite dungeons, but elite dungeons is high level content, so if you're a mid-level player you're going to have to train this skill anyways. As level 75 is a requirement for the Plague's End quest, aka the quest that gets you into Elf City. Now, there's a ton of rewards you can get with your Dungeoneering tokens, but the main ones are the Ring of Vigor, a useful PvM switching ring, the Charming Imp to collect charms, and the Bone Crusher to crush bones for prayer experience. Apart from that, you have the upgraded gem bag, the herbicide, the gold accumulators, and the skilling scrolls, which will save you money in the long run, especially if you're going for max or experience beyond max. And I'm not even mentioning the Dungeoneering skill cape, which allows you to teleport to a variety of resource dungeons however many times you want. So yeah, Dungeoneering is a great skill to train and definitely worth doing. At number 8 we have Firemaking, and you may be thinking, wait, what? Firemaking? Well, if that's the case, then you probably have not looked at the recent updates, as Firemaking has actually got a great use now, apart from just the bonfire life points boost, which is only really viable if you're going bossing or doing some Slayer. No, Firemaking now has something called incense burner sticks. These sticks can be made by cutting logs, adding ashes to them, and then adding a certain herb to them. These sticks have various bonuses and can help you in various situations. Some examples are extra experience, increased poison damage, and a chance to auto bank dropped items whenever you're killing something. Very useful indeed. At number 7 we have Agility. Now, not per se better than Firemaking, but I would say it's more useful as it's more or less a quality of life skill. The main use of this skill is giving you access to shortcuts that will save you time in the long run, especially if you visit an area multiple times. It's also a skill that is required for a ton of RuneScape 3 quests. The higher level you are, the less likely you are to fail an obstacle during a quest. And oh boy, this helps during the Priv quest series and the Desert quest series. Seriously. And that is why Agility is on number 7. On number 6 we have Prayer. Now, apart from the protection, prayers, or deflection curses, it's a very useful skill. Though it's a very expensive skill to train and an annoying one to train if you're an Iron Man. Prayer is useful for two things. It's for the 7 prayers and of course for curses like Soul Split, Turmoil, Vanquish, and Torment, and of course the tier 99 prayers as well. These are massive damage increases with bossing or Slayer or other types of PvM. And prayer is really essential if you want to do any combat whatsoever at the mid to high tier. I cannot express enough how useful Soul Split is if you want to AFK, for example. Soul Split requires 92 prayer, by the way, so you need to train this skill up to a high level. Anyways, this is why prayer is at number 6. At number 5 we have Slayer. Now, Slayer is a pretty easy one to answer on why it's actually useful. Slayer not only gives you Slayer experience, it also gives you common experience, money, and charms for summoning. So essentially, when you're training Slayer, you're not just only training Slayer, you are training Slayer to train multiple skills, which is why it's the ultimate skill to train if you're going for max cape and you don't have many 99s yet, you don't have much money, you don't have your charms. Go ahead and train your combat skills through Slayer, or get your combat skills up first and then just power slay through the lower levels of Slayer and then start making money and great charms at the higher levels. Apart from that, Slayer also gives you access to some of the best monsters in-game for combat experience and money. Some examples would be Edimu, Abyssal Demons, Airwoods, Dark Beasts, Corrupted Creatures, and many more. Slayer is also a great opportunity to train Invention with, aka training Invention through combat while doing Slayer. Anyways, let's move on to number 4, shall we? At number 4 we have Summoning. Now in my opinion, Summoning could be much more than it already is if Jagex reworked it, but Summoning is and will stay one of the most useful skills in this game. It can benefit you in both combat and skilling situations. Some examples for combat would be the Nihil familiars that increase your accuracy in whatever combat style you're using depending on the Nihil type, or Steel Titan, or a Dust Devil familiar to aggro multiple monsters, or a Bunyip to passively heal you, or a BOB familiar to bring your food along, or extra potions or extra supplies. It's really amazing for combat. And then we get to skilling. You can actually use your pack yak to make potions more efficiently that require a lot of supplies, like overloads for example. You can use the familiars to boost your fishing level, your woodcutting level, and then that turns into more experience per hour because you have a virtual level boost, kind of like a potion for those skills. And there's many more specific examples. This is why Summoning is at number 4. It's a very good skill, super useful, and it has a very nice 99 and 120 cape, if you're wondering. Definitely one of my favorites. At number 3 we have Herblore. Herblore is a very expensive skill to train, but also a very fast skill. This skill has multiple uses, but its main uses are the potions that will benefit you in combat situations, mainly being the overloads and the combination variations of the overload. But adrenaline potions are useful, super antifires are useful, which can be turned into the overload combination potions, and of course the extreme skilling potions that let you access an area much earlier. A great example of this would be the extreme runecrafting potion, giving you access to the level 90 runecrafting required soul altar at level 79. That is super useful. You can also, for example, use the Extreme Invention Potion to access higher level blueprints earlier. Super duper useful. And those potions aren't really that expensive either. Overloads are, however, but definitely worth getting. Herblore is arguably the most useful skill for PvM. But at number 1 we also have a very useful skill for PvM, but that skill is also more useful for skilling. Let's move on to number 2, shall we? At number 2 we have Magic. Now I could have put the other combat skills here as well, but I really wanted to mention Magic as a specific skill. Magic is hands down the best combat style out there. Let me explain why. Magic, like ranged, has one of the most useful area of effect abilities in the game, being Corruption Blast. The ranged version is Corruption Shot, by the way, unlocked by clicking on a mass capability codex and choosing that ability. It is also a very good combat style for AFKing or just doing Slayer. It is also the most commonly used combat style in the game for high tier bossing. Though some bosses require specific combat styles, I am aware of this, Magic is used most often. It also gives you access to the special spells like High Alch or Low Alchemy. It also gives you access to various teleports, being extremely useful. For example, the simple Gatestone teleport in Dungeoneering is useful, and I'd say it's one of the easiest styles to get into with a fresh Iron Man account. That's why Magic is on the number 2 spot. Now let's move on to number 1, shall we? At number 1 we have the newest skill in game called Invention, being the first elite skill, requiring level 80 divination, smithing and crafting to unlock. This skill benefits you in both combat and skilling and can be trained through both combat and skilling. Invention is useful because you can add perks to your armor, tools and weapons. These can increase damage, do damage, help you negate damage more, decreasing the cooldown on abilities, increasing the amount of skilling supplies you get per hour, increasing your skilling experience per hour, and much more. And this skill is just amazing because you can train it with fishing, woodcutting, fire making, and combat skills like Slayer or just any style. It's a really cool skill and a very nice addition to the game. Definitely one of my favorite skills as well. It's also one of the fastest skills in game. And with Invention, you can actually curate skilling outfits once you've gathered the fragments, which is, oh wow, it's just so useful that you can just create those outfits like the shark outfit or the Rune Effer outfits just by training the skill and gathering the fragments. Absolutely amazing. And you even have machines to auto-alch or auto-disassemble items, and there's just so many things that are useful in Invention. Way too much to cover in this short section of the video. And on that note, I want to end the video. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like down below and maybe even consider subscribing. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.